To order, we will start with a prayer.
Before we begin that, if we could also have a moment of silence. The past couple weeks, the school's been really suffering through a loss of one of our special teachers. Christy Bayless was a teacher at CBIS and died unexpectedly. And so we would like to take this moment to please have a moment of silence for her, and then after the moment of silence, we'll move into the prayer. So thank you. If you please bow your head and just remember her family during this difficult time. Thank you.
Okay, if you'd like to join me, bow your heads. Lord, as we celebrate Veterans Day today, we would like to thank you for all the people who have served and sacrificed for our country and our safety. Help us to remember all the things and people that we are thankful for and to take time every day to acknowledge them. Please be with us this evening and help us make decisions that are in the best interest of our schools and community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. All right, thank you. Welcome to our November board meeting, also Veterans Day. But we will start this with some recognition.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. We start every board meeting with a celebration. We focus on our 5 guiding principles and often our key guiding principle, which is individual student growth. So that's where we're going to start tonight. We are going to start with Colin Owens. Colin, please go ahead and come forward. Our Central 9 Student of the Month for October in Welding Technology is Colin Owens. Please give him a round of applause. Colin, we're celebrating with you wherever you are. World Tap Dance Championships. I know she's here. Please go ahead and come forward, Laura. Laura Hendrickson represented the United States at the World Tap Dance Championships in Prague at the end of October. Laura brought home a silver medal, and her formation was second in the world. Her small group placed 15th. Please join me in congratulating Laura.
We're going to ask you a few questions. So, how did you get into tap, and how long was your routine? And how many participants were at the World Championship?
So to get into tap, I started dancing when I was young, and I had to move studios because my studio closed. And my studio owner was like, "Hey, put her in tap." My mom said no, but she convinced her to put me in tap, and I loved it from there. The formation was about 3 minutes. And the small group was about 2.5. And there was 20 countries there with 3 to 5 dances in each category.
Well, that's outstanding. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
And we're so glad to honor you tonight. So we're going to get a picture right here.
Congratulations again. Well done. That is all we have this evening for recognition. Thank you all.
I'm not used to everybody not leaving, so thanks for staying. We'll move into a consent agenda. Any public comments? All right.
I do have a few admin comments, please. First, I'd like to acknowledge that tonight is with sadness and joy that I am announcing that we have 4 teachers retiring. Obviously, it's very sad when so many outstanding educators decide to move on to a different journey. And we have over 100 years of experience that will be departing. And I'd like to acknowledge Trish Foreman at Northwood for 41 years of service, Amy Jepson at Needham Elementary, 21 years, Benita Taylor, 27 years as special education teacher for us, and then Doug Warner, 6th grade math teacher, 43 years of service. So we just want to say thank you to them. for their service and wish them the very best in their next journey.
I also have a comment on the administrative pay raises and stipends. I neglected to include our newest administrator, Shelby Murphy. Although she won't qualify for a pay raise this year because of the transition to administrator, she will qualify for a stipend of $1,640.
Questions or other comments on the consent agenda? All right, we will entertain a vote then.
Move for approval.
I'll second.
First, second, all those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, we're down to superintendent reports.
I am very excited. This evening we have with us our students who traveled on our Endress and Hauser Student International Experience. If all of you want to go ahead and come forward, I would like to first introduce, I'm just going to go down the row here, Monica Anderson. Monica, please stand. Monica was one of our trip chaperones. She is from Franklin Community School. She's stationed here at Franklin Middle School as one of our outstanding counselors. Behind her is Nicole Oddie from Endress and Hauser. Nicole joined us
So
on
do
the
you guys want
on
to
the trip, a
hold the
key
mic and
partner
pass
in
the
that
mic?
trip. Thank you, Nicole, for waving. And Dustin Huddleston, our president of our FEC board and a key partner in this experience for our students. I will let all of you introduce yourselves. I know it's a key part of your presentation. Thank you so much for being here. The floor is yours.
I'll tell you one more thing. You get to advance the slides.
Oh,
So, yes, push this when you're ready.
all right. Hello, everybody. We'd like to thank you for coming. We are all high schoolers at Franklin, and we traveled to Italy, Switzerland, and Germany with Franklin and Anderson Hauser from August 27th through September 5th this year.
Face the board. Face the board.
Oh. I'm Isaiah Tunis.
I'm Brooks Huddleston.
I'm Luke Holcroft.
I'm Landon Compton.
I'm Isaiah Scott.
I'm Charles Houston.
I'm Megan Merriweather. I'm Taylor McHenry. I'm Caitlin Duncan. And I'm Holland Beck.
All right, so our first day on the trip was all just traveling. We got up pretty early, got to the airport at Indianapolis, and we got on our first flight to New York, where we had a little bit of a layover. And then we got on the plane to go from New York to Milan, Italy. And after we got on the plane, we had a 4-hour delay. And in that top left picture, you can see that's me sleeping. I slept for 3 of those 4 hours and didn't sleep the rest of the flight.
All right, so day 2, we finally got to Milan after our about 8-hour flight, which Isaiah mentioned. We had a long delay on the tarmac. We really hit the ground running this day. We got off the plane, we went through customs, we got our luggage, and then we headed straight to the hotel that we stayed at, which was called the 4U Hotel in Milan. Once we got there, we kind of had a little break where we slept, rested, ate some food, drank some water, got ready for our long day, our first full day in Europe. Once we got all rested up and ready, we hopped on a bus where we went into the heart of Milan. When we got there, we went on a tour at the Duomo, which is that picture on the right side of the screen. The Duomo is Milan's main cathedral. Construction started in 1386, lasted until 1965, so almost 6 centuries of construction for that one Gothic-style cathedral. It's really different than anything we've ever seen here in America because we don't really have that grand architecture like they do over there, and that's one example of it. We took a nice long guided tour there. We saw all we had to see, all the different types of carvings into the walls, the different people, the huge stained glass windows, and really just gathered the whole big idea of what the Duomo was like. We even got to go on top of the roof and see kind of all of downtown Milan, which was really cool. After we finished our guided tour, we headed down from the roof and out the cathedral, where we then shopped around for a little bit and headed back to our hotel. Once we got back to our hotel, we had a nice Italian restaurant next to us where we got some authentic Italian cuisine, including some lasagna, some pasta, all that good Italian food that it's known for. And after that, we got some well-needed rest from our long day and our long flights. And from there, we headed to day 3.
All right, so day 3 was our first day of inter-Europe travel. We started off by waking up. Me, Isaiah, and Luke started off the day by going on a run in Italy. It was really beautiful, ran next to the canal. And seeing all the bikers out there, it was like 6 in the morning. Really beautiful. We saw this one field. It was like a rugby soccer field, and it had like in the stands, it was like an Italian flag imprinted into the seats. So that was really cool to see. But we headed over to the Indershauser Sales Center, which is right outside the city. This is really cool because it was really the business side of Indershauser. It wasn't just like the mechanical side. It was like all the business affairs that they did, how they, like sold their product. And it was more like the business side than it was all the manufacturing and parts and how everything worked. But this building was really cool because it was all natural lighting. There was no artificial lighting. The ceiling lights were it would collect sunlight and then it would generate light. It was really cool to see. They had a lot of big windows, so it was really inviting. But there was no one in the building because everyone in Italy takes August off, which is the whole month. Everyone in Italy does, which was really interesting. So after that, we got on a train. We first went to the Milan train station, which was really cool to see all the people travel. And that was a lot of like restaurants and shopping there. But then when we got on the train, it was about a 4-hour train ride to Basel, Switzerland. But on the train ride was really cool because we got to see the Alps, the Alps and the snow-capped mountains, seeing all the small towns, the architecture, and it was really like the first taste of like, wow, we're really in another country here. And it was really amazing, breathtaking to see. But we unfortunately started the train ride off not on a good note. We accidentally went to first class and sat there for about 30 minutes before we were escorted and moved to second class. But other than that, it was pretty good. But we made it to Basel, Switzerland, and then headed back to our hotel and into day 4. So day 4, we went to the HQ of Indershauser, which is in Rheinach, and we met a lot of the younger people that they had kind of, just hired, and they were telling us about their life outside of work, and like it was really cool just learning about the stuff they do compared here. Like one of the guys was a DJ at like a local club. He was talking about all the people and everything. It was really funny, and they were showing us out there like one of the displays of how their machine worked, and on the left too, there was a video wall, and all those blocks came out, and it was they were kind of just showing like what all they do there because it was called Flow, and we also got to experience like soldering and other device measuring tools that they have there. Then we also learned from their apprentices, who showed us just kind of how they build everything, and we built temperature measuring devices. And we also went to their recording studio where they show their guests how to use the products that they sell them. Then after that, we went out and ate at a local Italian restaurant, and it was really cool because they had like carpet seating everywhere, and the pasta and the dessert was really good.
Day 5, we started in Zurich.
Started the day off with a bus ride to the Lindt Chocolate Factory. We got a little shopping done for our families and had a little tour on kind of the history of the factory and the company. We even got to see some flow meters from Endresen Hauser being used in the factory. Then we had a bus tour of Zurich and the lakeside. We stopped at a little flea market, got a taste for the life in Zurich, saw some cool cars, and then we hopped on the bus and then took the bus onto a ferry and crossed Lake Zurich. And then we crossed to the sunny side of Lake Zurich. So there's a sun side and a shadow side of Lake Zurich. And we went up the gondola, which probably is not supposed to fit 15 people in it, but we got 15 people in it. Went up the mountain, had a little hike and a tour, got an incredible view of Lake Zurich. And I got a taste for the culture. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. Headed back down, took a relaxing bus ride back to our hotel, and ended day 5.
We started off day 6 by traveling from our hotel in Lorach, Germany to Basel, Switzerland. Once we got downtown Basel, we spent about 2 hours shopping around and visiting various gift shops and local shops. There was a lot more clothing stores downtown Basel than any of the other towns that we visited. We ended up seeing a live orchestra playing downtown on an outdoor stage, which was really cool to experience. For lunch, as you can see on the right side, we went to a local pizzeria, La Osteria, which had amazing food and massive pizzas, which we didn't realize until we had each ordered one of our own. After that, we took a bus back to Lorach, Germany, where we visited the Rotland Castle ruins. It was a little bit of a walk uphill to get to the main castle, but once we got there, it was really interesting to see all the different hand-built cobblestone walls and the medieval architecture of the entire thing. We also got a tour and were able to go up to the very top point of the castle, and we saw out over the entire view of Lorach, which was really interesting. After that, we went back down the hill and got to a little museum on the bottom. As you can see in the picture on the bottom, we got to see and learn a little bit more about the history of the castle ruins and try on some different medieval armor. After that, we took a bus about 10 minutes back to our hotel and ended the night off by eating dinner at a local Mexican restaurant, which had amazing food. We walked back to our hotel and ended the night by playing some cards.
So on day 6, we had our last day in Lorach, Germany, in our hotel, where some of us, not me personally, had a run through different countries, such as Germany and Switzerland. They were able to travel between the two without any trouble on different trails, which was very interesting. And when we had all gathered up and we went onto a bus to go to the Endresen Hauser Level and Pressure, the original location of Endresen Hauser, where we got to split up into 2 groups, where one of us had to wear special suits and hat netting and stuff so that we didn't track any debris in for a delicate instrument assembly process inside, where something even as unnoticeable as the air pressure is required to be perfect for them to curate these devices that go into the products of Endresen Hauser. We also got to see plenty more company insight on the life of working in Endresen Hauser. And the other group, while that was all happening, had another experience in soldering where we had the chance to create sonic rangefinders, which used sonic waves to bounce forward like sonar and bounce back and be processed to show how far away the device was from whatever you were pointing it at in meters. And after that, we had brought back to our hotel where we had a nice dinner in the restaurant under our hotel with the head of dual process education, which was a very nice time. And after that, we had packed up our day, all of our things in preparation for our next day in Neuschwanstein.
Okay, so on day 8, we woke up early and got all of our packed bags and loaded them onto the bus since it was our last night at that hotel. And then we took a road trip to Neuschwanstein Castle. Once we got there, we had to take a 40-minute walk uphill to get there. And then we were taken on an audio tour throughout the castle. While we were in there, we saw lots of beautiful murals and paints with depictions of Jesus, angels, and heaven. We also learned lots of really cool facts about the castle, like construction began in 1868 and it was never actually completed. And the king of the castle, King Louis II, aka Mad King Ludwig, was declared insane and actually drowned himself, and his psychiatrist died along with him trying to save him. But on a lighter note, the castle is the inspiration for Disney World's Sleeping Beauty Castle. Once we got done with the castle, we got to go down into the town and look at the gift shops and cafes that were there. And then we got back on the bus and went to our new hotel in Munich. Once we got there, we just dropped our bags off inside and then headed to dinner right across the street, which was German cuisine, which I thought was the best meal that we had there. And then once we got done, we went back to the hotel and just played cards.
Oh, sorry. All right, so on day 9, it was our last full day in Europe, and we spent it kind of like venturing a little bit away from the castle and like the having fun and all those kinds of things, and we put it on a more serious note to kind of close off. And so we found ourselves riding a bus to the Dachau concentration camp in Germany, where we got to walk around the actual sites of where it happened, the real concentration camp, got to walk in different barracks and in different, I don't know what they're called, the really big buildings that had like the important people. But that's what the picture is on the very right. It was just like walls of just bunches of cells, and it was just kind of crazy. And then the sign over there is talking about like the importance of not repeating history and experiencing these kinds of sites so that we don't repeat those events. These are just some photos that were taken there. Little history lesson real quick. The one on the very right is a picture of one of the actual cells in there. There's a sign that's explaining what the prisoner was like that lived in that cell at the time. The bottom middle, that's a open doorway, is actually a gas chamber. So the word atop of it in German means bathhouse in English. So that's where they would, the Nazis would trick their prisoners into thinking they were gonna go take a shower, and then they would get gassed and would pass away. The sign on the very left is a picture of a 12th grader who was taken prisoner in Dachau, and that was just a big moment because we have 5 12th graders of our own, so like just kind of thinking about being our age and experiencing that horrifying like devastation was just crazy. So yeah, to end the day on a little bit of a lighter note that will pick me up, we did some shopping at the train station in Munich, and then we went and ate some nice German dinner, and it was a very, very good meal, and it was very, very hearty. We had a nice evening to kind of change the pace a little bit.
All right, day 10, homecoming day. We woke up very early and crossed the street to the metro station. And from there we went to the airport, where we went through the Munich airport, where we went through TSA and baggage check. We went from Munich to Atlanta. It was a 9.5-hour plane ride, but like on the clock it was like 3.5 hours since there was a 6-hour time difference. When we got to Atlanta, we got lunch, and from Atlanta we went home, and that was it.
All right, so.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're okay. Great job. So this is just one of the things that I wrote in our journal while we were there. I feel like I'm like echoing. Is that just me? Okay. But basically, before we went on this trip, I didn't know any of these people. Maybe gone to school, but like not really known. And so it was really amazing to get to meet all of them. And within only a couple of hours, it felt like these people we had known forever. And so, yeah, it's a nice family that we had start to arise between us. So, yeah.
I will like to add, in every single airport we went in on the way back, I brought a camera and it fell out and my bag unzipped every single time and fell on the ground. But it was perfectly fine. Here are just some of the fun moments we had from sleeping on the plane or on the train ride and enjoying, what was that called again? Gelato. And just taking funny selfies while we were waiting during presentations, and then playing cards at night and shopping. A bunch of fun. Oh, shoot. That guy that I'm with is Pierre. He was our bus driver, and he would wake us up every morning with like techno music, and he'd be bouncing all around and everything. So it was really fun.
All right, and on this slide, these are some of the foods that we had while we were on the trip. A good mix of American food that we have here, but also different kinds of food like schnitzel, different pastas, sandwiches, drinks, all the different things. You know, we really experienced a different kind of culture with food. You know, we had the pink pasta down there. I mean, I don't know if anyone here has had pink pasta in America, but that's one thing they had over there, and it's really interesting to see, you know, the different types of pizza, the thin crust versus, you know, here we have more of a regular, like, more doughy crust and whatnot. The burgers were a lot bigger. Different food like schnitzel, even the steaks were cooked differently. You know, you ask for medium rare, and they give you more of a rare than here. You know, I feel like here we cook more medium and more well-done steaks, but over there they like them more rare. So it was just really interesting to see that different culture with food.
All right, so this is just a little like recap about getting to experience the Anderson Hauser facilities. And so basically when I got back from the trip, my English teacher asked me if I was interested in engineering and if that's why I went on this trip with an engineering company. And my answer at the time was no, I didn't. I went on the trip to get to experience the world and like learn more about engineering because I don't know what I want to do. So just to see the kind of career options that were available. And getting to see the communication side of Anderson Hauser was just really amazing. And it's not just like Anderson Hauser, the engineering company. There was like so much that went behind it. And so like every building we went into, there was like a smiling face. There was like, I don't know, everyone was just so happy and so welcoming. And it was such a family that they had in between all of their facilities. And their HR was amazing. Their communication systems were amazing. It was so cool to see. And it definitely like opened my eyes to the HR side of businesses and just what all it takes to go into that kind of like corporate business and like just how many people it takes.
Some of the culture shocks that we experienced was the water. Lots of people in Europe drink sparkling water, so the still water is very hard to come by and it is a lot more expensive. Also the AC, there's a huge lack of it, like everywhere. It's not here like in America, which also makes you a whole lot more grateful for what we do have. But yeah, AC was one of those things. It was extremely hot because of the heat and lack of AC, so that made it a lot harder. Another thing was the cars. There were more people walking on the street than anything. They were riding bikes, scooters, taking public transportation. There weren't really any big trucks or flashy cars on the streets. There were also lots of little use of lights in buildings and more effective use of sunlight, windows, and doors. Like the spa facility at Anderson Hauser, they utilized the ceilings and windows to let sunlight in instead of using electricity for lights.
All right, rating modes of transportation. First off was the plane. We gave this a 3 out of 5 just because it was it was so long in the same place without being able to move, but some people were able to sleep really good on it. The city bus, we gave a 3 out of 5 just because we did this particularly in Germany. It was a really cool way to see the city, but it was just very hot and very cramped. And then the train was a 5 out of 5. It was one of the highlights of the trip. It was just so beautiful to go through the mountains, and it was just so comfortable, and it just was so unique, and it was really cool. The tour bus was a 4 out of 5. This is what Pierre drove. Most of us here know cars and buses pretty well, so it was like a familiar way of travel, and it was just really, comfortable and familiar. All right, traveler testimonials. I just feel so lucky to have been selected for this trip. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
I just want to say thank you to Andrews Hauser, FCS, and my parents because this was probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. So.
This has really been the best time of my life, and I'm incredibly grateful to have the opportunity to have gone on this trip.
I had always wanted to travel to Europe, and so this was a huge bucket list opportunity, and it was a lot of fun.
I will definitely forever be grateful for this opportunity that I was offered, and I've learned so much about different cultures and a lot more about engineering.
Through my experience at Andrews Hauser, I found that engineering is a passion of mine that I never knew I had.
Through this trip, it's really ignited a newfound curiosity to explore outside of the U.S. and go overseas to see different countries and all their different cultures that they have.
I'm just really appreciative of the opportunity to explore my interests and see these new parts of the world.
The trip was truly a highlight of my school career and my life as well, and it definitely gave me a lot of insight on E&H when I want to be involved more with the company.
I was blown away by the scenery, things that are a lot older than I am and will be here far after I'm gone, and just things that we don't have the opportunity to see here in America.
We would like to thank Anderson Hauser, Frank Community Schools, and the Education Foundation for this once-in-a-lifetime trip to Europe.
Are there any questions from the board?
I guess one, if you guys had an extra day, a free day, where would you spend it and why?
Definitely Italy. We were only there for a couple of hours because of our plane delay. So we really get to the hotel, put your stuff down, you're going to the Duomo, and then we're going back to the hotel. It was just very chop chop. So it was definitely a lot of fun, a lot to experience, but I mean, Italy's it's known for its culture and for the things you can experience, so.
One thing I want to say too, since we had that delay, Brooke had a lot of stuff planned for us that we had to miss, so I was really interested in doing all that other stuff, seeing more of the historical aspect of Milan, but we didn't get to do that, so I definitely want to go do that.
I would definitely have to be the opposite. I know that there's a lot that Italy has to offer, but it was way too hot. I did not want to be there anymore. And I would have loved to have another day in Munich because we were only there for a day. We could only explore once. And I feel like it would have been really cool to go further into the city.
For me, I would say Munich as well because we got to shop there a lot and we got 4 hours. And me, Isaiah, and Landon and Brooks went around to the different football shops over there because they have a soccer team, FC Bayern Munich. And we got different jerseys and whatnot, and they had really good stores there. So it would have been cool to shop longer and maybe eat at some more local restaurants.
I feel like you guys covered the food section pretty well. But I do have a question. I was thinking, what was the strangest food you guys encountered over there?
I would have to say the pink pasta. It was definitely different, something that I've never seen before. That's one of the things that I said.
Okay, a little bit more about the pink pasta. It was ravioli. I ordered ravioli. They ordered the exact same thing. Theirs was pink and mine was normal. So I don't know what happened in the mix-up, but they had pink ravioli.
They said it was made from beet sauce.
Holland and Megan both decided to split that, and they both took a bite and didn't eat it, so I finished it. And I did see on the menu, but I didn't order it. I'm pretty sure one of the restaurants had octopus, but I was not that brave that day.
It was the most interesting food, right? It was definitely what was it, the first day? The first day we were in L'Irak when we had the Mediterranean food. They had brought out this big tray with like a flower shape, and every petal was like a different dip, and there's like 3 different egg roll type things in the middle, and I tried every single dip with every single egg roll, and it was all awesome.
So in Munich, I thought I was ordering just like a normal like burger, but it came out and it was just like a meat burger, but the meat was meatloaf. It wasn't bad, but it was just kind of surprise, for sure.
Say the weirdest thing I had was a veal, which is baby cow. They all shamed me for eating it, but food is food, so.
No.
And I know that they shared this at Intershauser, that for a few of them, this was their first ever flight, and they traveled to Europe for that. So congratulations taking that step and doing something courageous. You know, this partnership was created for all these experiences you just heard. You know what, in our guiding principles, we talked about individual student growth, and no better way to describe it than what they just did. And we do have a few students in the internship program with E&H from our first trip, and you hear that Charles and looking at that again. So that connection is continuing to grow. So I do want to thank Intershauser and Nicole Oddie, who really stands behind us and help us make this connection work, and also for Mr. Huddleston, who is the president of FEC, and they help support through the funding of this. So on behalf of everyone on the admin side, I want to thank the board for allowing our students this opportunity. We do have another exciting opportunity that's been brought to us, and that is for our students to experience the national parks. And you're going to hear a little bit more about that, but another partnership with the Franklin Education Connection, that we're going to have a chance to spend 10 kids to a national park in the United States by someone who's going to donate the money to see the kids travel. So we're going to get the details to you, but that's going to be a partnership that we're really excited about. So we do plan to go back to Intershauser. It's going to be in May of 26, so it's actually next school year. It's not that far off, but it will be a little bit of a time. So, but it is a great partnership, and like I said, thank you students for going, for taking a risk, and giving up a week of school. But it sure made a difference for us to hear your stories, and I just want to say thank you again.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent job.
Follow that, Tina. Poor Tina.
Now everybody leaves.
Now everybody leaves.
Exactly.
All right, we'll move on to action items. Any public comments? All right.
Okay, tonight I am requesting an $800,000 additional appropriation for the referendum fund. This will be using some of that fund balance to provide stipends for both the certified staff and the non-certified staff, if you approve their pay raises and stipends next month. So in preparation for that, I'm requesting the additional appropriation tonight. It has been advertised in compliance with our regulations, and I will answer any questions.
Any questions? All right, we'll entertain motions.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you, Tina. Next up, preschool improvement projects. Maybe?
This is, Roger, this is just finishing up the final documentation.
There you go.
We'll call it the pre-K project, although there's more to it than that. There's a number of resolutions that have to be adopted tonight. The first is a pretty basic one. That is a resolution determining the need for the project. At a prior meeting, the project, if you will, has been described to you. It's basically in two parts. Mr. Betts is here. He can certainly speak to the various components of the project if the board wants to hear that again. There are a number of repair items, maintenance items that will be done with some of the funds. And then the big thing that's going to be done, of course, is the construction of a pre-K facility at the old Special Services site. So again, Mr. Betts and Dr. Clendenning, I believe, have explained to you at prior meetings why they believe the the school corporation needs these projects. If you all have any questions concerning the need for the projects or the projects themselves, obviously please feel free to ask Mr. Betts or Dr. Clendenning. You want to add anything more to that?
Thank you very much. No.
Okay, at that point then, Mr. President, I would ask that you call for a vote on the resolution determining the need for the project.
All right, we'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
First.
Second.
Second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you. Now, as with the maintenance bond project that you just finished off, this will be financed by a building corporation. The building corporation will sell the bonds, perform the projects as directed by the school corporation, and lease some school property back to the school corporation. The building corporation will utilize the lease rentals that it receives to pay the debt service on the bonds. You have before you tonight the form of the lease that is proposed. That's a very generic document, varies very little from the lease that you saw in the maintenance project. The important parts, which really is the lease rentals, how much will it cost, will remain unknown until such time as the bond issues, until the bonds sell. So tonight, Mr. President, we're simply seeking approval of the form of the lease, which has been included in the board materials.
All right, thank you. Entertain motions.
Move for approval. Second.
First, second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Okay. Lastly, and again, you're going to approve your building corporation. As I stated earlier, because the building corporation will be the entity that sells the bonds, it is necessary that the school board approve or reapprove, as you will, that building corporation. So, Mr. President, I would ask that you ask the board to consider a resolution reapproving the Franklin Community Multi-School Building Corporation.
Entertain motions.
Move for approval.
First.
Second.
Second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
There will be more on this at the December meeting.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Roger. All right. Looks like next up is the Center for Special Education Services Agreement.
Yeah, good evening. Oh, am I on? You will be.
You will be.
Thank you. So if you don't have any questions about this particular agreement that I brought last month for contracted school psychology services, I would ask that you vote to approve this so we can get services started.
No changes since last month?
No changes.
Any questions?
Move for approval.
All right. First.
Second.
Second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Congrats. Next up is the Paris Counseling MOU.
Yes, thank you. There have been no changes since the last meeting. Roger has approved the contract, and again, I just want to thank the community because our referendum dollars allow us to provide this service to our students and fill a gap in skills-based therapy.
questions from the board? Entertain motions.
Move for approval.
Move first, second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you. Next up is the English 12 PLC memoir proposal.
That's mine again. English 12, as a reminder, is a course that we've added back to our offerings. It's been in the catalog for a long time. We just haven't offered it in the schedule. It is now back in due to student need, and this is one of the novels that the faculty have requested. I vetted it and had a committee vet, and so no changes since the last meeting.
Any discussion, comments? Okay.
Move for
Entertain
approval.
motions. First,
Second.
second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Thank you.
All right. And item G is bid documents for security cameras.
Thank you. As you're aware, we did a request for proposal for security cameras for the high school and elementary schools. We actually had 2 requests for approvals. Initially, the request for approval, the vendor changed the part numbers, upgraded devices, so it didn't align. With Roger's help, we went through and replaced that RFP with the second one. With those modifications, a couple things to note. In this RFP, security camera installations will take place after school is out. So starting at 4 p.m. into the evening, and the vendor will be responsible for making sure that school's ready for the start of each day. Working hours are important. Server installation will also come first. What that means is we will not lack cameras. So as a camera is replaced at the high school, it will be immediately available. In the RFP, we had a number of vendors respond. We'd like to, don't you hate it when the technology doesn't work for the technology guy? Very good, Basil. I need to open a help desk ticket. There you go. So we've had a number of vendors for the, respond to the RFP, and we'd like to thank each and every one of them. It was touring our building. A special thanks to everybody that went through. It was a rigorous process to come up with it. With that in mind, next slide, we'd like to recommend that the committee, that we continue with CSC at a total cost of $925,709.79 to be paid out of the GEO bond. It is within the budgeted amount for this line item, and with an estimated completion of April 2025. One thing specifically, it did take a committee. A special thanks to Adam Vaught, who spent many, many hours laying out the floor plans. This is a model camera, and specifically where we wanted to install it. I'd be happy to answer any questions or request permission to enter a contract with CSC.
Matt, I'm sorry, I don't remember if I've asked this before. These cameras, have we ensured that they do not include the Chinese parts that would prohibit any federal money?
That is correct.
Okay.
I heard within budget, so you have me at within budget.
It is within budget. It's under budget.
Yeah.
Matt, you said completion is April. When do you anticipate the first transition of the servers and cameras?
Right. We'll have to get with the vendor and look on time frame there. I don't have an exact scenario on that, but the sooner the better, realizing that it would be April 2025. As we spoke with vendors, other school corporations that did business with CSC, they gave a great amount of accolades to David, who is actually sitting here tonight with CSC, and their just integrity and their diligence to get the job complete.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Entertain motions?
Move for approval.
Move first.
Second.
Second. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's it for action items. We're on to discussion. So the Stepping Stones group.
I feel like I'm a broken record on these contracts, but I've shared with you over the last 4 months or so that it's been challenging to find in-person school psychologists. This particular contract has an SLP who will work on our campus in person with kids. This is an agreement that Mr. Young has reviewed and given his stamp of approval. So I will come next month and ask for your approval. Do you have any questions?
No, good good job finding the company.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Stepping Stones. Any questions?
No. All right.
Thank you
See you
for
next
your work
month.
on this.
Thanks.
All right, second item, food service manager.
Yes, I am seeking approval for, to add the PERF benefit for our food service managers. That's the Public Education Retirement Fund. These positions have not had retirement in the past, and we feel like this is a key benefit in recruiting and retaining for these positions. We're recommending a start date of January 1 of 25. We reached out to PERF to do an actuary study to determine how much that would cost. And the study showed the option to buy years of service at 1 year, 5 years, 10, 15, and 20 years max. The cost range of that was between $15,000 and $208,000, and the years of service range from 2/3 to our highest at 25. This was part of our spend down plan in food services. If you recall, after COVID and the federal reimbursement, we built up quite a balance in that account. A lot of that money has been used to buy cafeteria tables, if you've seen those in the buildings with the different mascots and everything. That's been a hit in the buildings for sure. But this was part of our spend down for our fund balance, so we've been working on this for a little bit. IDOE has increased that, so we can carry a higher balance than normal, but since this was in the works, we are moving forward with the proposal. The annual cost of this benefit to us would be $21,220, with us contributing 8.2% of the salary and the employee matching at 3%. We are recommending that the district pick up the first 6 months, and this is because these employees don't know this is coming, and it might create a hardship if we give them a few weeks notice on this. So if we can cover that 3% match until July, I think that will really take some of the burden off the employees, and they can properly budget for that match. The 3% employee contribution goes into a defined contribution account, and they're immediately vested, so once they leave, they can either cash out or roll that over. So we're hoping that the board will approve the buyout of the 20 years. And if you read through all the materials, you'll see that the letter from PERF that outlines the different options, they refer to us on page 2 as Aurora Public Library District, and I've asked them to send me a corrected letter. But the front page and the numbers definitely match up with the school district. Are there any questions I can answer?
I think the only question I have is to meet on the January 1st date. Is it critical that we approve it tonight? Because this is in the discussion.
No, it's discussion.
Okay, so
yeah,
we got time.
We do. I'll bring
okay.
this back in December.
Okay.
No question, comment though. I do appreciate the 6-month picking up for the employees, because I know that would be a little bit shocking, 3% pulling out of the check.
Yes.
So I don't know what I'm doing to create that.
It might be me.
But that is a nice touch and a detail that I noticed. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? No. Comments?
No.
All right, I'll bring this back in December. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tina. Any public comments on discussion items? Seeing none. Administrative comments?
Yeah, I have one. We are scheduled to do the high school bids on the 22nd. Wanted to make sure everybody's calendar still worked for that. It'll be a very similar format, morning, meet for breakfast with the staff, and then Mr. Ahouse will be talking about programs and probably do an update on the high school diploma. I think in terms of the high school diploma, we are anticipating that the final edition of the high school diploma will be delivered on December the 4th. They'll then come back and vote before December 31st on what that looks like. There have been no significant changes in the last sharing of this. It was just a couple days ago. There have been comments about the performing arts side of life, and is it going to be impacted also for some of the electives like ag and some of those. And I think they really have tried to accommodate and provide opportunities for the kids. There are many benefits to moving to this new model, and we'll continue to look at that. So on the 22nd, if everyone's still available, we'll continue to plan for that. And that is going to be, we'll meet in the LGI room at the high school.
I also have a couple of items. One being, I was contacted by the State Board of Accounts last week about their upcoming audit for 22 through 24. So I've got some preliminary prep work to do for them, and they'll be arriving just for the holidays. So
Merry Christmas.
the second item, Benji caught a lead on a new school bus that we wouldn't have to wait for. And as you know, we are closing on our maintenance bond tomorrow. So we are, and these transactions would normally come through the board, but I wanted to let you know. If you recall, we earmarked $3 million for purchase of new buses. This would get us one like tomorrow, and the lead time is pretty hefty on the others. And we confirmed with CIESC that the pricing is good, even less than what they've negotiated, so we're good there. And the total price of this bus is $171,205. It's 72 passenger and has 4 places for wheelchairs as well. So we're excited about having that option. Those seats fold up so they can be regular seats or the handicap accessible. So, Benji, anything to add on that one?
3 wheelchair spots, not
3.
3.
Does it have seat
I got
belts?
excited.
I'm sorry?
Seat belts?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you.
So I guess just a verbal nod that we're on the right track here would be great. Thank you.
And I might add, just one of the things as we can close out, starting these new bonds, each quarter you're going to hear us share information like this. Since it's actually going to the bank, the board will not actually see that, but we're going to continue to articulate our needs and the purchase price to the board so that you are aware, even though the multi-building corp is in essence the one approving those. So that's just one little change. And so tonight was the first one that you were able to kind of get a glimpse of what's going to look like in the future for us as well.
And one general comment, and maybe you can speak to this, the Injures Housing trip is one of the coolest things I've seen that our school corporation does. I'm proud that we do that. How unique is that compared to other schools?
Yeah, well, right now, we're the only one that's doing that. It's very unique that we would have a partnership with another entity like that. Now, you know, we go to Coogee, and that's with the city side of life, but as far as workforce and partnership, it's very unique.
Okay. I felt pretty proud, so
Yep.
we should be proud of that.
It's be very proud.
So, thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other comments?
One more thing I'd just like to say, obviously on Tuesday was the election. We do have one of the board members that was elected to sit in January with this. Mr. Jones is in the audience. And we also have 2 other new board members coming on. And we do want to continue to thank, Christy, Andy, and Brian, finish up. They've been outstanding board members. And on behalf of the superintendent, it's a pleasure to work alongside with outstanding professionals. One of the reasons our district is in a very special place is because of the board and how the board functions. And I just want to thank all of you. Without your cooperation, without your leadership, that wouldn't take place. So, Christy, Brian, Andy, thank you very much for your years of service to us, and you will be sorely missed.
Thank you.
All right. Anything on calendar of events?
No.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Right.